The Total War series is one of the longest running in the strategy game genre, and to be fair, there are plenty of good reasons to explain the great success the series from Creative Assembly has. And going back to the very first title is no little feat today. Shogun Total War, released in 2001 after a long string of more or less successful sports game under Electronic Arts, was the turning point for the company that had now finally found its niche. A novel idea amidst the frenzy of the real-time strategy games like StarCraft, Age of Empires and Command & Conquer. A mix of fast-paced battles interwoven in a slow-paced board game, the Total War series was born, somewhat alien to everything strategy gamers knew at the time. It was nevertheless the idea that shone bright. As any self-respecting strategy game in this world, we have a campaign offered to us. While we could also pick from some later starting dates, we have the Grand campaign available that let us play one of the 6 daimyos during the Sengoku era. So we will have a relatively slow warring with our neighbors until the violence starts to ramp up with the introduction of Christianity and gunpowder from foreign European powers. The core gameplay is highly fiddle to the rest of the series. We have to manage vast tracts of lands as well as build up our military might, but all while not forgetting about diplomacy, espionage and murders. The interface to construct and train units is unequivocally unwieldy and inadequate. There is a lack of feedback about the actions you are undertaking, and it is quite easy to lose track of your budgets as the actions you commit only debit your caucus at the end of the turn. Nevertheless, we can somewhat excuse this as the system is still fairly effortless to use once we take notice of the particularity of this title. The game also had introduced the agent system. We have the shinobis who act as intelligence agents, allowing you to see enemy forces and movements and defend yourself against foreign agents. The emissaries who act as basic diplomats to open up relationship with foreign lords or bribe your opponent's armies and castles. Ninjas who are glorified assassins, and finally the strongest agent ever made, the geisha, who is an even more glorified assassin who is unfathomably powerful as she cannot die in a botched attempt. The agents are quite expensive but do provide a great support for your units. Additionally, whenever an agent executes an action, you will get a glorious cutscene that are truly a trademark of the Total War series. Here are a few examples for your own enjoyment. The game does lack some more intricate strategy for the combat phase. It has a very simple pyramidal structure where ranged units almost always defeat infantry units, whom always beat cavalry, whom always beat ranged. The real-time battle system also suffers severely from the poor control, the poor camera, the poor UI, and the poor AI. And all these together can really kill off your initial drive you get from going back onto this title. However, the simplicity of the battle system does make it more enjoyable to fight your foe. The low amount of force on the maps also makes it more common to be fighting in the open field, and the siege themselves are not as complex as the pure serene titles, as the fortification will always have a wide open door for the invading troops to flood in. Seriously, why even bother building a magnificent fort if you leave the gate open? I am led to believe it is simply a lack from the engine that does allow proper sieging. Well, that or the Japanese were really dumb back in the day, but the former is much more likely. The combats are still engaging when the units are afield of wrestling for the victory, and the formation offered are great aid to set your troops quickly, but the lack of short keys to select groups, additionally with the poor camera control, brews a perfect mix headache trying to command troops around the heat of the battle. Still, I believe it is even better this way. I have high doubt that the commander could effectively control the flow of engaged troops in combat back in the 15th century with an high degree of accuracy. Due to my formidable tactical mind, I found myself always outnumbering the opponent by hundreds, which almost always prompted me to forfeit myself to the less desirable auto-resolvement of battles. The system seems more fair in this game than the next ones, so I rarely found myself regretting the action afterward. The worldview is interesting in this first title, as the game runs on the first generation of the Total War engine. We have similarities to the latest titles. One of the major differences though is the almost total lack of three-dimensional models available in the strategic map and the battle mode itself. We do have some nice sprites to make up for the fact, but keep in mind we have an engine simulating hundreds of units at a time, so the level of details is quite low and the zoom capacity is extremely limited. The Overworld Map is inspired for a lot from classic board games, with units having a standoff base and the regions acting as single cases. Each regions interconnect with its neighbors, so you can only move one at a time unless you transport the troops from port to port. Now, you know my love for great soundtracks in any and all medias. While Shogun Total War did not miss the mark with it, although the music is not as memorable as Rome or medieval Total Wars, it still resonates very well with the Bushido period. Sound effects are also nice and appeasing. They really summon the spirituality of the epoch in a pleasant fashion without being overburdening. They are a warm and welcome aspect of this title, and that is quite surprising, as usually sound elements aren't well done in this type of games. To close this review, I will have to admit it. Shogun Total War is an awesome game. Yes, there's a lack of features, but the core values of the Total War series is present, and the simplified real-time part make it more engaging since it keeps you away from establishing a somewhat more personal relationships with your units. Of course, going back to such an antiquated title can leave you with a feeling of misery when you realize how long it has been. Over 15 years already. Quite incredible, isn't it? But this game still deserves attention, as it is a crucial stepping stone for a large amount of players, and to be honest, it is still a substantial piece. Grab it for cheap in whatever Total War bundle is on sale right now and go enjoy yourself. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review, and if you did, make sure to subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.